From the old word shriving, which means to listen to someone's sins and forgive them or to confess. Shrove Tuesday marks the coming of Lent and is often celebrated with pancakes and carnival. And preparing to give up richer foods as part of Lent, pancakes began to be eaten on Shrove Tuesday. This was because people would use up richer foods such as eggs, sugar, and milk before Lent began, which when combined can make pancakes. All right? So the need to get, as the graphic says at the bottom of page 1, the need to get rid of foods restricted during Lent, such as sugar and lemon flour, resulted in Shrove Tuesday also becoming known as Pancake Day. So this, Shrove Tuesday, is like your last pick out day before Lent. And that's what's going on in New Orleans right now. If you're watching any of the news today or any of the clippings on the news, folks are losing their mind. Parades, drinking, all of that, all getting it all out, right? Getting it all out, right? Before the time of sacrifice and Lent begins tomorrow. Top of page 2. Pancake Day, Shrove Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, and Mardi Gras all refer to the Christian celebrations before Lent. So either the names are interchangeable, all right? Whether you use Pancake Day, Shrove Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, all of them are Christian celebrations. In the Christian religion, this is the day of feasting before Ash Wednesday. It's a day when people enjoy rich, fatty foods and sweet treats such as pancakes in preparation for Lent. Pancake Day is on a different day every year, always falling 47 days before Resurrection Sunday. There are many different names for this Christian celebration day. Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday. It's celebrated in very specific ways. Pancake Day came from the tradition of eating pancakes. The different manifestations of this celebration all have a similar root, in that they celebrate indulgence before the period of Lent, which is very restricted. So again, I've said the same thing 3 different ways on the outline, all right? That this is like pig out day, right? This is overindulgence day. Because as of 12:01 tonight, Ash Wednesday begins, and Ash Wednesday becomes a time of fasting, prayer, reflection, self-denial, self-sacrifice. Pancake Day is a purging day, but it is also a feast day. Pancakes have been eaten for Shrove Tuesday for more than 1,000 years. All right? Isn't it interesting that an event like this that exists in the mainline church worldwide is not very well known within the Black church community? This thing has been going on for 1,000 years, right? This thing has been going on for a long time. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, and it's not necessarily anybody's fault. But again, my goal for you, what's going to ultimately hurt many people, listen, is the lack of exposure. So what I try to do with you all, in as many ways as I can, is give you exposure to things that you may not normally know. Right? You would have no reason to know. Because if you've been AME or in a mainline Black church for all your lives, you very rarely hear the active significance of Ash Wednesday. You would hear about it, but you don't know of many Black churches that do the imposition of ashes. That's a Catholic thing, right? That's an Episcopalian or a Lutheran thing, where, and folk who are Catholics go to Mass early in the morning to get their ashes on their heads so that they can wear it all day. Now, when we have Ash Wednesday service tomorrow night, we're probably going to offer the imposition of ashes that you're going to have on your forehead for an hour from the time we back to church until we get home, right? But that's not something culturally that we have experienced within the Black church, all right? So, you will notice that during Mardi Gras, and even in here tonight, that there are colors that are associated with Shrove Tuesday and with Fat Tuesday. 3 basic colors: green, gold, and purple. Green means faith, gold means power, and purple means justice. Now that is so significant, given what we're going through in this period in our lives. So these really are spiritual principles that have been attached to this day. And these colors, so you see the beads on the table, when you watch the news tonight, all the parades that are going on. Shannon, I think we lost the system. All the parades that are going on, and that whole parade thing in different cities, particularly New Orleans, is a very complex, planned, and calculated event. All right, if you look under the graphic, there's an organization called the Rex Organization. They are credited with establishing these color meetings in 1892, some say 1872. And a king and a queen are selected each year. There is a word known as crew, Krewe. The crew is the whole experience of Mardi Gras in New Orleans. But these themes, these color themes, have religious significance because we are people of faith, we are people of power, and we are people who believe in justice. All right? So these beads, these colors, have those symbolic meanings. When we watch the news tonight and we see the coverage of Mardi Gras, you will see people, throwing the beads, people on the floats throwing the beads into the crowd. There are a lot of myths associated with this thing that some women would bare their breasts publicly to get a certain color or a certain number of beads, all kind of crazy. Stuff that you can take and that has good intention and turn it into something that doesn't have beneficial intent, all right? So these are the colors of Mardi Gras, and what I wanted to focus on tonight was just the fact that we are having this experience, and then just come up with some lessons and some questions about this time. First of all, the question is, should we or should we not celebrate this day or this season? I've already mentioned we are not Catholic, we are not Episcopalian. So should we or should we not do it? There's nowhere in the discipline that talks about Shrove Tuesday, nowhere in the discipline that talks about Fat Tuesday, nowhere in the Bible that talks about it. But listen to this, I keep bringing this stuff up periodically, right? The Bible does not tell us to annually celebrate the birth of Christ. The Bible does not tell us to annually celebrate the resurrection of Christ. The Bible doesn't tell us that, right? So these traditions have been established over hundreds of years by religious councils and groups who thought that Christians needed reminders, listen, of significant events. And what societies writ large over the years have done is that they have often taken religious and cultural celebrations and monetized them, right? They turned them into economic benefits, right? Most of us grew up in a generation where we had to have Easter clothes, right? But do you realize, saints of God, that is an economic thing? That's not a spiritual thing. That's economic, right? The Madison Avenue and advertisers and retailers have learned how to monetize everything. Birthdays are monetized. Vacations are monetized. And even things that are spiritual are monetized, right? So, so the question is, should we or should we not celebrate this day or even this season, particularly since there is no specific biblical direction? I would fall down on the side of saying yes, because what we have to be careful about, first of all, people need reminders of significant events, number one. They need reminders of significant spiritual events. But also, it's really all about how we allow these traditions and experiences to roll out. How do we allow them to evolve, right? Do we allow them to evolve into something that's going to be negative, Like the experiences, some of the experiences we're seeing in New Orleans tonight. That is not a reasonable, listen, a reasonable representation of what this day is about. People will plan to go to New Orleans and to the Caribbean to celebrate Carnival and Mardi Gras with no knowledge that really at the root of this thing, it's a spiritual celebration. It's supposed to be. But that's not how it's presented, right? New Orleans, because it's a focal point for sports and other things, you can tell how important the monetization is and the profit motive, because after that event where those folk were killed in January, they hurried up and cleaned up the French Quarter. They hurried up and put more security there. You know, you almost didn't hear anything about, there was some little discussion about, oh, what kind of safety will it be at the Super Bowl? You ain't get no more about it. They brought law enforcement in from everywhere because they knew that if people had some sense that it was not safe, they were not going to New Orleans. People don't go to New Orleans, they don't make the money. And that's what this whole, even this whole boycott approach is. One day we're going to understand that businesses are in business to make money, no matter what the product is. The end goal is money, period, the end. It don't have to do with morals, it don't have nothing to do with ethics, it has to do with money. And when you hold back your money, black people don't know when it comes to the church. You get mad at the church and you stop giving, it affects the life of the church. So, should we do this? I fall down on the side of yes, because it helps us with our discipline. It expands our understanding of who we are and what we're about. All right? Letter B, one question, should we indulge before we sacrifice? The question really is, what benefit is it for us to pick out tonight and to go nuts with everything? Y'all leave here and go home, and you're gonna take that last piece of pie or cake. What benefit is it for us to gorge and gouge ourselves and kill ourselves, overindulge, and then start talking about we're gonna fast tomorrow for 21 days or 40 days? I mean, is there actually a benefit to indulging before sacrifice? Now, some folks will say yes, we should do it because we need to get it all out of our system before we start this sacrificial fast, before we start, on this road. Well, yeah, it really does matter whether or not we are committed to the purpose of the fast, rather than being legalistic, right? So if you turn on the back page 3, I quote this verse. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. He says, I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. You say, food for the stomach and the stomach for food, and God will destroy them both. The body, however, this is really a conversation about managing your impulses. The body is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. In other words, Paul is saying, just because you can do something doesn't mean you ought to do it. Another version of this text says, I can do it, but it's not beneficial. It's permissible, but not beneficial. So just because you can do something does not mean it's going to benefit you in the long run. And that's really the question, how we have to kind of look at this whole fasting, this whole period of Lent, this whole sacrificial period. All right? Another question, letter C, what is the purpose of sacrificing during Lent, right? So the question today, the question tomorrow, the question last week amongst your family and friends was, all right, what you giving up, right? But do you remember and recall why we fast during Lent? The number one reason we fast during Lent is because it helps us to identify with the sacrifice that Jesus Christ made as he made his way towards the cross. That is the number one reason we should fast. We're going to be watching we're going to be watching the Passion of the Christ we're going to be watching all these biblical stories leading up to Holy Week, Good Friday, then Resurrection Sunday. What's the point of this? The point of this is when we fast, listen, and deny ourselves, it's supposed to help us partially feel what Jesus felt. And this is our way of identifying with Christ based on what he went through. We're going to be singing all of these songs about the pain Jesus went through for us. He suffered, bled, and died on the cross. And we're going to watch him get whipped up the hill and hung on the old rugged cross, and the nails put in his hands and feet, and the pain of that, and the blood came streaming down, and they pierced him in his side. All that pain that Jesus went through. So our fasting is supposed to be our way today to identify with that pain, right? That's what it's supposed to be, right? But, all of us are challenged, and we are in different places about fasting. We're in different places for different reasons about fasting. As I mentioned in the sermon Sunday, we are comparable to this time with our Muslim brothers and sisters who are observing Ramadan. During Ramadan, Muslims fast from sunup to sundown, which actually, which actually is also probably not a bad method if you are new to the process of fasting. But the difference is Muslims don't even drink water during the 12 hours. Absolutely nothing. All right? So, as I tried to say in the sermon a couple of weeks ago, I want to make sure y'all got your language right, right? You don't go on a juice fast and drink juice. That's not a juice fast. A juice fast is when you don't drink juice. All right? Whatever you're fasting, that's what you don't do. If you go on a fried chicken fast, that means you don't eat fried chicken. If you go on a water fast, you don't drink water. All right? But again, the laziness of our language over time, just not thinking about the things we say. All right? So if you're going to fast on any level during this time, whether it be 5 days, 10, 21, 40, whatever, right? You got to choose. If you're new to fasting and are serious about it, I would not suggest a 40-day fast for you. I wouldn't suggest it. I barely would suggest a 21-day fast if you're new to it. When I started fasting, this is what I did my first Lent. I said, all right, since there are
roughly 7 weeks in Lent, I would fast one day the first week. Then I would fast 2 days the next week. Then I would fast 3 days the next week. Because your mind and your body has to adjust to the different rhythm that you're on in terms of your food and down at the page, all right? The bottom of the page. I want you to read part 1 of the book. The book is broken up into 2 sections, all right? I want you to read part 1 if you have not done so already, all right? Then, those of you who brought your books with you, go to page 99, and there is a 2 to 3 page reading, 2 to 3 pages every day, all right? So tomorrow, Ash Wednesday, you start with day 1, okay? 2 to 3 pages every day. And then I want you to do the exercises or answer the questions at the end. So you read day 1 tomorrow, day 2 Thursday, day 3 Friday, and so forth. Read a section each day as we're going through these 40 days and answer the daily journal questions. Now, our Tuesday night Bible study, number 4, will focus on the key words that we come up on that day. All right? So March 11th will be day 7. March 18th, day 14 in the book, and so forth. That we will not have Bible study on Tuesday, April the 1st right now, because that's annual conference week, and I don't believe that I will be able to do Bible study that night because I'll already be away, all right, at conference. April the 8th, you should be up to day 35. April the 15th, which is Holy Week, there is an epilogue at the back of the book entitled A Transformed Heart. That's after you've read all of the dailies, and there's an epilogue at the end called The Transformed Heart. Our Bible study will be on that. So that's the reading plan that I am asking you to follow during the 40 days of Lent. In addition, Gabby, Chris, come here, please. Give one of these to everybody. My friend, brother, and a son of this church, Reverend Martin Odom, who pastors the United Methodist Church in Baltimore, has put together this 40-day fasting journal, which he has given me permission to share. You have the option of whether or not you want to follow the journal similar to what's in the book. So I'm trying to arm you with Lenten specific reflections. If you want this to be a holy Lent, if you want this to be a spiritual Lent, I'm trying to give you as much information as possible to help you, to help this to be a holy Lent. Now, this is in addition to the daily stuff you'll get in the WhatsApp chat that Sister Susan drops in, the stuff she drops into the Daniel Fast chat, stuff that she drops into the health and wellness. So there is no reason, if you want to do some spiritual reflection during Lent, there is absolutely no reason, thank you. There's absolutely no reason why you don't have the tools and the resources to help you make it through Lent with a spiritual focus. Okay? So uh, that is what I am suggesting that you do. I am hoping that when we have this experience next year, that we'll be prepared for it, and we can even prepare to come in advance of this day. Um, did we agree, Susan, that people can take the beads? Yes. So the beads that are on the table, you can take them, but also be mindful of what they mean. The beads are just not out here for decoration. All right? They have meaning. All right? Let me stop there and ask if there are any comments or questions about anything. Sister Dawn. Shh. Well, the question was, does the 40-day fast have anything to do with the 40 days that Jesus was tempted in the desert? I mean, yes and no. Um, the Lenten experience, of course, came after that, so it was probably modeled on that, because Jesus, as best as we can tell scripturally, spent 40 days and nights uh, in the desert in his period of preparation. He fasted, we believe, based on what we understand the scripture to say. So it is probably the model that was used to develop the fasting experience. But remember now, uh, I hesitate to say this, you know, there are certain numbers in the Bible that are not meant for you to play, but they have meaning. All right. All right. The I've been black a long time. Um, so the 40 days of Jesus' sojourn was probably comparable to the 40 years that the Israelites spent in the wilderness once they were released or once they left Egyptian slavery. So 40 is a significant number. 12 is a significant number in scripture. 7 is a significant number. All right? Sister Cheryl, what's mentioned? 140. That could be. Yeah. Come to the mic and say what.
Number, and it's mentioned in the Bible 150 times, and it says that the number 40 in the Bible symbolizes completion and accomplishment of God's purpose. And this is from AI.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. All right. All right. All right. So in addition, I think we also put on your table, I gave you a flyer with information about the Daniel fast. If you plan to do any level of fasting, please connect or ask to be a part of the Daniel fast WhatsApp chat. Great information that Sister Susan drops in there every day. Great devotional music and recipes. Because the Daniel fast is actually a misnomer, because you are fasting from certain things, but you're eating and really can eat all you want of certain things, right? So it's kind of a misnomer. I've also given you the list of Lenten services. Beginning tomorrow night, we're going to be in person, the Newark District, at Bethel Madison. Reverend Hughes is preaching. Our own Reverend Dr. Crystal is preaching next week. Starting next week, the 12th, everything will be online. The 12th, 19th, 26th, no service on the 2nd, the 9th, and the 16th. We will have Maundy Thursday service online where we have Holy Communion. Good Friday service this year will be at Israel Memorial at 12 noon. I'm preaching the first word. And then sunrise service for the district will be online at 6 a.m. Resurrection morning. And we will just have one service at 9 a.m. On Resurrection Sunday. All right. So I've sent all this stuff out 372 times. Here is more information. Jonathan. Gail, sorry. Uh, if we don't meet on the 2nd, you're asking if we don't meet on the 2nd, what? No, I want to stay on point. I want to stay on point. Yeah. Yes, sir. Right. Yeah. Sometimes people, instead of fasting, choose to, instead of giving up something, they pick up something. They do some type of service during Lent, something that's going to be beneficial or helpful to somebody else. But uh, uh, I was led to choose this book, the 40-day word fast, because some of us have some words that we need to stop using, right? We have some words that need to find themselves their way out of our vocabulary, right? And not only some words, but some principles that we need to let go of. The whole point of fasting and the whole point of Lent is not that we sacrifice, and then get to Resurrection Sunday and blow it, right? Right, and at the family dinner we just gouge everything that we've not been able to do during Lent. That's not the point of it. The point of it, that we want there to be some sort of spiritual change, some sort of internal change. And if you know, like I know, internal change takes a long time. Changing our procedures and our practices take a long time. Comments or questions? Other comments or questions or statements? Yes, ma'am. It may be coincidence. I'm not that familiar with the Islamic calendar. Yes. Oh, so Ramadan moves. Right. All right. Okay. So based on the Islamic calendar. Okay. All right. Uh, I just sat in a workshop yesterday with an imam, um, and um, fascinating. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. But he was talking about all the pillars of Islam, and really talked about how much in common Christianity and Islam have, and that the media presentation of Islam is really nothing even close to what Islam really is all about. But, again, we live in a media-driven world. Muslims really are people of peace and really look for where we can meet commonalities. And I keep saying I'm going to do this, that I'm going to invite one of my imam friends to come to a Bible study one night and to talk to us not only about Islam, but just about the commonalities, and to talk about more of the nature of what's going on in Gaza and other places. 50% of the continent of Africa is Muslim, all right? So it would behoove us as Christians, and Muslims believe in Jesus, it would behoove us as Christians to know as much as we can about Islam. It's not a tit for tat who's got the better religion. It really is just knowledge based. I want you all to become lifelong learners, right? Always looking to see how we can learn something new, okay? So God bless you. We're back online next week. Again, thanks to our hospitality ministry for helping out. Those of you who were blessed by the pancakes that I cooked, you have never had anything more better in your life. It has blessed you. But yes, we did have some other sisters helping out, Sister Stephanie, Sister Lucinda, Sister White. We had some other folk helping out, but me and Brother McGinnis was holding it down. Right, for the brothers, that's right. I had my little pancake contraption, the thing of that. But thank you for everything. Let's stand. After the benediction, we're going to clean up, clean up, clean up. Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for this gathering. Thank you for this Bible study. Thank you for this fellowship. Just good to be in the house. Good to be with brothers and sisters. Thank you even for our young people who are here tonight. Bless us and keep us protected.